yesterday, Melanie Jolie was out for a walk in the Mile End when a man riding his bike rode up behind her on the sidewalk and demanded she allow more Palestinian refugees into Canada.
Melanie Jolie, lift the cap on the number of Palestinian refugees. Lift the cap. Non, mais là, attention.
So as you saw, when confronted, Jolie turned towards the camera and immediately made multiple attempts to grab the man's phone. The man accused her of attacking him and grabbing onto his sleeve, and then again demanded that she lift the cap on the number of Palestinian refugees. Jolie responded, telling him that she's working on it, but that she's currently trying to take a walk and to relax. The man responds by saying, "Well, I'm happy that you're relaxed while there's a genocide in Palestine," before accusing her of being complicit.
Hey gang, what's up? Just Ehren right here, Question Period Canada. How y'all doing? Are you guys familiar with Melanie Jolie from the introduction there? She's a pretty little thing. A lot of rumors about her and Trudeau. I don't know if they're true or not, but this girl seems really simple when she speaks. She's the minister, I guess that's called Global Affairs now, but it traditionally had been Foreign Affairs. And when she speaks about these things, guys, I think we all get a little bit dumber, actually. Let's take a couple of looks at Melanie Jolie. She is easy to look at, but very hard to listen to. So let's take a peek and a listen and see which one we prefer, because, man, not so bad when it's on mute, but boy, oh boy, she's a simpleton. Let's check it out.
Well, hi everybody. I'm happy to be here at the Mosaic Mine, meeting with Ryan's team and being able to see the facility. Yesterday I was in Saskatoon. I went to the synchrotron at the University of Saskatchewan. We announced an important funding of $84 million. Today we're here to meet with people working at Mosaic, highlighting how much the potash industry is important to Canada, but not only that, as the world is really working hard to turn away from the Russian and Belarusian potash industry, we want to make sure that we empower workers here and that they know that they can count on us. Now, today I'm also here as the minister in charge of talking about the budget today, and in that context I want to highlight the fact that we're putting on the table $600 million in tax incentives that could be possibly interesting to Mosaic and its people, but also to the industry as we're trying to work on a net zero future and also trying to empower our great creative minds and our great entrepreneurs across the country. So that's why I'm here, looking around the facility, getting to know much more the industry, and ultimately to show the hardworking Saskatchewan people that we're here for them. So I will say that all in French.
Melanie Jolie is a member of the Liberal Party. She was born in 1979. As a member of the Liberal Party, she represents the Montreal area in the House of Commons, taking office as a member of Parliament following the 2015 federal election. She has held a number of portfolios, including Canadian Heritage, Tourism, and La Francophone. Jolie ran for mayor of Montreal in the 2013 Montreal municipal election, placing second behind eventual winner Denis Coderre. Born in Montreal, Quebec, Jolie graduated from the University de Montreal and Brasenose College in Oxford. She ain't pretty, she just looks that way, guys. Wait until you see her in committee. Like, when she is put to the test, she has a sincere voice, but it's a simple voice, guys. Like, here, we just gotta check it out in committee. You'll get the best idea by seeing her in action.
I just received a letter from the minister today for a letter I wrote to her in October that talks about the fact that diplomacy will help us with arms sales to Saudi Arabia. I can submit that if you'd like. It is clearly diplomatic. Thank you. So my concern is when we have people like this making these claims, saying these things about innocent civilians, absolutely we need to sanction Hamas. When are you going to be sanctioning these government officials?
Okay. Thank you. Well, first, Heather, I know you've been to the region, and I was in the region as well. And what is happening in Gaza is absolutely catastrophic. It's the worst place on earth to live right now. And I think Canadians know that. It is a heartbreaking situation. And meanwhile, we absolutely believe that when it comes to the ICJ, to answer your question, we respect the court, and parties need to make sure that they abide by the decision. And
Minister, that wasn't my question.
I'm sorry, Heather. I'll just continue. And I've raised this issue with my counterpart because we all agree that more humanitarian aid needs to go into Gaza. We all agree that the violence must stop. We all agree that we need to get to a hostage deal, which will eventually lead to a sustainable ceasefire, which will eventually lead, we hope, to a two-state solution. This has been Canada's position, and I hope that that's the case around this table and in the House of Commons with all parties. Now, on the question of UNRWA, I agree that we need to provide humanitarian aid. We all do. There's an important investigation happening right now at the UN. My former colleague, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of France, Catherine Colonna, has been appointed. It is an important investigation because the allegations are serious. And that being said, we absolutely, meanwhile, need to continue to provide humanitarian aid through different organizations, and the Minister of International Development is in charge of that. Now, when it comes to arms, because you asked me that question, so you and I and all of us know about our arms trade system. We have one of the most robust in the world. And what I can tell you is, of course, and for those who are watching, how it works is Canadian companies come to see the government to have export permits emitted. So it's not the Canadian government sending weapons. It's actually companies coming to see us. What I can tell you is that there's been no weapons sent under my watch and in recent years, and none since October 7th.
But I did ask about non-military.
I'll just continue.
Minister, if I could ask that you conclude your response in 20 seconds.
Yes, and we have sent, since October 7th, non-lethal equipment, including night vision goggles and protective gears, and that was through Canadian companies sending them to Canadian companies, Israeli companies in Israel.
Okay, so she does come off as being a little simple, perhaps? Let's take another peek at her in committee going one-on-one with somebody that has her outmatched. This time it's Michael Chong.
Minister, when did you first find out that a PRC diplomat was targeting me and my family?
I've learned it through the news.
Why is this diplomat still here?
So I knew you would be asking me this question because it's a valid question. And, just to go back a second, I can only imagine the shock, the pain, the worry that you've gone through, dear Michael, due to the targeting of your family and loved ones. And so, as I mentioned earlier, on a personal level, and, as Foreign Minister, I take this extremely seriously. You've asked me questions regarding foreign interference in the past. I've always said that, of course, we would never tolerate any. And second, we would make sure that, if there was any violation of the Vienna Convention, we would take action.
Minister, Article 9 of the Vienna Convention is clear.
I will just, if I can.
I've heard your answer. It's
no, but I'm not finished.
Well, why is this diplomat still here? Article 9 of the Vienna Convention is clear. Article 9 says that the government can declare a diplomat persona non grata for no reason. The article is clear. So why is this diplomat still here? A diplomat who has more rights and immunities than the Canadians around this table to go around and conduct his foreign interference threat activities. He has diplomatic immunity. He cannot be criminally prosecuted. We all remember the case of the Russian diplomat who mowed down a Canadian citizen in a drunk driving case and killed her, and Minister Manley was unable to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. You have given accreditation to a diplomat here who is using his diplomatic immunity to target not just me and my family, but other members of Parliament. So why do you, Minister, continue to allow this diplomat to be accredited in this country on Canadian soil? That is the question. And you haven't answered the question.
Well, let me be able to answer the question. And of course, Michael, I understand your frustration and I understand your anger. So
we haven't expelled a single PRC diplomat.
Can I just
We are
finish?
one of the only democratic allies in the NATO alliance that has not expelled a single PRC diplomat. And Canadians are being targeted by the over 100 diplomats
Chong,
accredited
will you
here.
allow the minister to
Okay, thank
respond?
you. So, first and foremost, what we're doing right now as a government is we're assessing the consequences that we'll be facing in case of diplomatic expulsion, because there will be consequences. I think it's important that Canadians know what we've learned from the Two Michael experience is that, of course, China and the PRC will take action. These interests, including economic interests, consular interests, and also diplomatic interests, will be
Minister, I can't think of any
affected,
interest.
and therefore, no,
Minister,
Michael, I just want to finish my answer because this is very important. It's about you, but it's about also the interest of the country. So, as we are assessing the interest, and I know that we are under pressure to go fast, we need to make sure as well that we protect our democracy. And that is why we will take action in light of the facts that are being presented regarding your case and, you know, any MP that could be targeted. So that's why my deputy minister right now is meeting with the Chinese ambassador and summoning him. And that's why also we're assessing different options, including the expulsion of diplomats, because it is important that we take a decision.
Minister, just with respect to interests, economic and otherwise, I can't think of an interest more important to the Canadian state than the protection and the safety and the security of its own citizens
And I agree with
here
you.
on Canadian soil.
And I
that
agree with
trumps
you.
all other interests.
I agree with
It
you.
is inexplicable that this diplomat hasn't been told to leave the country already. And I would hope that the deputy minister is informing the ambassador that this individual, Mr. Weijo, should be on the first plane out or declared persona non grata. And I think that that is the only course of action here, because if we do not take that course of action, Minister, we are basically putting up a giant billboard for all authoritarian states around the world that says we are open for foreign interference threat activities on Canadian soil, targeting Canadian citizens, and you can conduct these activities with zero consequences. And that's why this individual needs to be sent packing.
So
Mr.
I
Chair,
hear you,
a question
and
about...
I share your concern regarding foreign interference. I share your concern regarding the message we would be sending. I think in order for this country to be safe and prosper, of course, democracy must be at our bedrock. That being said, we will take a decision thoughtfully. We will take a decision that will have the best interests of Canadians and our
Chair,
democracy in mind. But
I'd
as
like
I
to ask
mentioned,
a
all
question
options are on the table.
about
Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question about the intelligence assessment dated July 20th, 2021. Did your department receive this intelligence assessment?
I was not the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I
understand that, but I'm asking if your department received it.
Yes.
You were appointed minister on October 26th, several months later. I assume that your department received it. The Prime Minister indicated yesterday that that assessment never left CSIS. It seems inexplicable that it would not have left CSIS. CSIS doesn't produce intelligence products for its own consumption. It produces them for departments and central agencies.
Well, as you know, the Prime Minister
I am trying
has
to find
asked
out why that
I'm
information
afraid
never made it out of
Mr.
CSIS.
Chong, you're considerably
Michael,
over your
the
time
Minister
now.
has asked an investigation on this.
So-
You know that. You had many conversations with the Prime Minister himself about this issue. You've been briefed about this issue at
this-
least
Mr.
6
Chong,
times.
you're out of time.
So
I'd just
you've
like to
had
ask
access
Mr.
to that
Chong,
information.
you're a minute
ask-
and 20 seconds over time.
No, I'm not.
It says here 6 minutes and 14 seconds.
Yeah, I'm allocated 6 minutes rounds.
No, 5 minutes as I indicated at the
Okay.
start.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chong.
There we go, folks. What do you think? Melanie Jolie, a little simple. Is she qualified to be our Minister of Global Affairs, Foreign Affairs, TRUDEAU Affairs, whatever it is? She comes off as a little simple to me. I'm not sure if she can really handle the workload. My name's Ehren. This is Question Period Canada. We watch and broadcast live the question periods. Come and join us while we're doing one of those broadcasts. It's a great time, fun chat room, great community. Come and check us out. We're learning about Canadian federal politics right here, sharing that with you. So make sure to check out our next video. Thank you very much for watching this one. Have something healthy to eat. Try to stay warm out there. We'll catch you next video. Thanks again for watching this one. Like, subscribe, get notified, share it, all that fun stuff. It helps. We'll catch you next video, gang. Thanks a lot for watching. Ciao.